Hi, today I'm going to show you how to do a foam printed image. This is called printmaking. And the beauty of printmaking is that you can make multiple images of the same thing. So I could print this over and over and over again. We're going to use styrofoam sheets. They're thin styrofoam sheets. And then we'll use printing ink to roll the ink onto our image and put the paper on top, press down really hard, and then lift it up, and there's your image. So here's an example of a printing plate that's already been printed, and it's this one here. And you'll notice, if you can see carefully, that this image is in reverse. So anything you make on there, just know that it's going to be reversed when you print it. So any words would have to be backwards if you did words. The letters and the word itself would need to be backwards. Okay, so to start this, here's another couple examples. You could even cut out your image and print that. Here's an owl that I cut out and printed that. So to start with, you want your image to be the same size as your printing plate. So take your printing plate, put it on your paper, and trace around it. And then draw your design on the paper. You're going to end up drawing and tracing in this about 3 times. So I'm doing another owl. And I'm just copying almost the same thing that I did over here. So I'm drawing out my owl. And then here's my tail. Okay, now I can put details on my picture, but what I don't want to do is put a ton of teeny tiny little details that are close together. And you'll see why once we start tracing it. So here's my owl, and it looks, your print will look more interesting if you do designs in the background. You can do a border. So I'm doing this kind of quickly, but you can take your time. We have time. I'm going to do some diamond shapes in the background. Again, these are, fairly good sized shapes. I don't want to do lots of teeny tiny things. Here's some swirls. Put some lines in my owl's body. Maybe some feet. Okay. It's definitely stylized. Stylized means it's not realistic. So it's a stylized image. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put my image on top of my printing plate. And then I need to get some tape. And you want to make sure it's lined up. So you can hold it up to the light. Hold it up to the light and see if it's lined up. And you want it to be pretty lined up. And then put a little piece of tape on the back. You can put a couple pieces so this way it won't move around. All right. Now, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to trace over my lines that I drew. And this is going to transfer it to the printing plate. And it's okay if the lines are a little bit off. You don't want to draw too lightly in this step because you want it to press into the printing plate. You want it to make indentations. You also don't want to press too hard that you're making holes in your printing plate. So here I am, tracing. I'm going to speed up the video a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take off the plate, peel the tape off, and I notice that it has transferred to the printing plate. But those lines aren't deep enough. If you do it just like this, it's not going to print. So what I need to do is take a ballpoint pen, any color, and I'm going to go over my lines again. And if you use a color, well, any color really, you'll be able to see the other color and you'll be able to see if you went over all your lines. And this time you still want to press down kind of hard because your goal is to make some deep indents. You want deep indentations without making holes. Okay, so I am tracing over all my lines. And this does take time because printmaking is a process. It's not just about the final print. It's about the process of making your image, tracing it, printing it again. And I can feel if I rub my fingers across it that it's making dents. Again, don't draw too lightly. Make it kind of deep. Okay, now my image is ready to print. I do want to carefully write my name lightly on the back so that way I know whose it is. Now I'm going to show you the printing process. For the printing process, you will need 2 pieces of long paper, and this can be scrap paper, it can be newsprint or something that you just don't really need much of. And then you need a tray, your ink, or your printing plate, your ink, and I use, this is block printing ink, and a brayer. So, and then you'll need the paper that you're printing on. Before you even start, write your name on the paper that you are going to be printing on. Okay, now you're going to pour or squeeze out a little bit of ink onto your printing plate. And keep the ink at the top of the printing plate. You don't need too much. If you put too much, it's going to make everything a mess. So, get a little bit of ink out and roll it on your tray. And you see how I am rolling it up? I'm rolling it and lifting up, rolling it and lifting up. And I'm getting a little bit of ink on at a time, rolling it and lifting it up, rolling it and lifting it up. And I don't need, like I said before, you don't need tons of ink. So I'm rolling it and lifting up. And then you want it to have this kind of snippety sound. It kind of sounds like Velcro. And then you know that you have it a right length. So I'm not going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm just going up, lifting it up like that, just a little bit. Okay, now I'm gonna roll it onto my printing plate. I'm gonna get all of this covered in. Okay, then see, it's a pretty thin layer. You don't want it to be too gloppy because that's not gonna work. Then I'm gonna take my paper, fold it in half. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want clean paper. All that black around there, that would just show up on my paper. So I want it to be pretty clean. And you also want your fingertips to not be covered in paint. So I'm kind of like wiping off my hands and just kind of making sure it's not super full of paint. Now you want to do this kind of quickly. If you wait too long and you're talking to your friends, it's going to dry. So you got to do it fairly quickly. So I'm going to put my paper down. And I'm going to press all the way on the paper. across the paper, press, press, press. Use my fingertips. I'm not just going like this. No, I'm pressing and getting all the way to the edges. Again, you want to do this fast. You don't want to do it too slow so it all dries. I'm going to peel it up. And there's my image. So that worked pretty well. Yeah, that worked pretty good. Sometimes you see that you might see that there's not a lot of ink on one side. Then maybe you didn't put enough ink on that side, or maybe you didn't press down enough, or maybe you didn't do it too fast. Or you won't be able to see the image. If those lines are covered up, that means you put too much ink down and it's gloppy. So it's a little bit of a practice. Like you're not sure if it's going to work right away. You're not sure that it's going to be how you want it. So we can try again, and you just try again and do it again if it doesn't turn out how you like it. And the good thing about this is you can make as many prints as you want. You can give them away to your friends. You can make them and hang them up. Yeah, okay. So when you're done, this brayer will go in the sink. We need to wash it. And then the plate can go in the garbage. This can be wiped down and used again. Yeah, that is it. Thank you.